All right, hello class. Welcome to week 10 and congratulations on getting project 3 done and out of the way. For the most part, besides like a couple hiccups here and there, it seems like all of you got your projects uploaded without a hitch. Sorry about the process memo invention portfolio confusion. Um, for project 4, it'll be much more clear about what the expectations are for those things. So thanks for bearing with me on that. And for those of you that emailed me for help or questions, I'm really happy that you guys got a hold of me. And so please feel free to always email me with any questions or concerns. All right, so week 10 kind of begins our transition towards the end of the semester. What I mean by that is project 4, what we're going to start talking about today, is really the kind of capstone final major project of the semester. Now you do have a reflective letter at the end of this class, but this is really our what we've been building toward this whole time. And so what I want to do in today's video is I want to walk you through what project 4 is. I want to talk about the weekly schedule a little bit. We'll look at the reading that you've got for this week, and then we'll talk about your blog that's due at the end of the week. All right, so to begin then, let's go ahead and take a look at project 4. Here we go. So project 4 is a research proposal, and what this means is that this is the moment where you guys are going to occupy some sort of space as an expert in your field. This is where you start to get to flex your own muscles and to start to enter into the conversations that you've been tracking this whole time. So, the stuff that you learned was important in project 1, or maybe even the article that you used in project 2, the articles that you've gathered in project 3. All of those have been opportunities for you to think about what experts in your field are saying and how they're saying it, but now it's your turn to start to talk back, to enter into the conversation and to propose your own ideas, right? So this is where your own voice is really going to start to come out. All right, so let's take a look at what project 4 is. So for each assignment leading up to this project, you've investigated your discourse community, its ways of knowing, doing, and writing. You've begun to research matching your discourse ways of knowledge. So by completing these assignments, you have found that academic genres are socially and rhetorically situated and always responding to the communities of practice. So in other words, everything we've done so far has been to think about what are the conditions that influence the ways in which people in your field write. This is what the genre analysis was doing, and then you thought about, what were they writing about in project 3. So we've been thinking about how people create and exchange knowledge in your field. All right, and so what we're going to do in this project is you'll begin to try out your discourse community's way of knowing and doing by writing a research proposal. So we're going to use a hybrid of Swales as creating research space, which you are reading for this week. You'll complete and revise work completed throughout the semester in order to write a formal research proposal. Your research proposal should research a problem that is relevant and common to your discourse community. It should demonstrate your growing awareness of your community's methodology for research. So for the most part, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be thinking about the questions that you were looking at in project 3, or the topics that people were talking about in your literature review, and you're going to be responding to those with your own ideas. Now, that's not to say that you can't throw all of that out and pick a new topic. However, that would not be a very good idea because you've spent the entire semester working up towards that. So essentially what we're going to be doing is using your lit review as an opportunity to say something new, within that conversation. So we've got some things we're going to do. We're going to use some low stakes assignments to get us there. You're going to be revising different pieces of work that you'll be including in your research proposal, including your literature review. You're going to be receiving feedback from me and from your peers on each of these simple steps. All right, and so the other thing, I've got this here, students will be required to complete at least 2 student instructor conferences. I used to require these conferences, especially in face-to-face classes. However, I know because online classes, especially in the summer, the schedules are not as free as they sometimes are in the normal semester. And so I won't be requiring these conferences, and so I'll go ahead and change that wording. They are optional. I'm happy to meet with you guys, via Skype to talk about these things. But like I said, I know summer online schedules, it's tough. You guys are working and all these kind of things, and so you won't be required to conference with me, but I do encourage it. All right, so let's take a look at the prompt then. We've got a couple things we're going to do. The project is compiled from several low-stakes assignments. You're going to draft an introduction for the research proposal. You're going to be revising your literature review as we go, and so you're going to get really quick turnaround on your lit reviews from me, so you have those ready to go. You're going to kind of expand those if you need to, or tailor them in towards presenting research. Again, more on that later. And then you're going to do a couple different things. You're going to be creating, a methodology section, a discussion section for this to kind of piece all this together. Now, all of that will become much more clear once you've had a chance to kind of look at an example. And so what I want to do is I want to talk through essentially, let's go down here, what a research proposal is. And so what we're doing here is you are making an argument essentially about a new approach to a topic, an issue, a problem in your field. And so, for example, if you were researching nursing and you said, the question was, why aren't there more men in nursing, which is one that's been successfully researched before, you might create or come up with an idea to, get more men into nursing or to retain more men in the nursing field or whatever. That's what a student did last semester. It was really interesting. And so there are ways in which you can think about how to provide your own ideas to the topic that you just finished tracing in the literature review. And so what I want you guys to start to think about is like, look, you've got all of this literature. You are now aware of how experts in your field are talking about this topic. And so it's up to you then to come up with your own approach. And we can really figure out how to do that well if we go to this Swales CARS write-up. And so if you click on this link right here, it'll get you to this page right here. So what Swales gives us is a really interesting way to think about how to come at a topic in a unique way. And so he's come up with a structure called CARS, creating a research space. And this is specifically tailored to the idea of writing an introduction in an academic setting. And so what he says is that most articles, regardless of the field, have this basic format. And so these are the three moves that we'll be doing in the introduction that you'll start to write for this week. So even though, like he says, each discipline has its own set of generic conventions and things like that, they all follow this same kind of pattern. And so our first move is to establish a territory or a topic, right? And so this is the first step towards creating a research proposal, is establishing your topic. And so whatever the topic is that you want to argue about, or whatever the topic was that you used in your literature review, that's where we're going to start here. And so your first step is to explain to your reader why this is an important topic. And so if you're doing something in terms of, supply chain management, or if you're doing something in the medical field, or if you're doing something, in fashion, what is the topic that you're interested in, and why is it an important topic to write about, for us to think about? So that's where you're going to start. And so you're going to start to kind of give us a general sense of what that topic is, why it's important, and then you'll kind of start to bring in a little bit of research from your literature review to say, like, look, this is what some people are saying about this topic. So then your second move is to establish exactly how you're approaching this topic, so establishing your niche. And so this is where students kind of get confused, but once they've had a chance to do this, it becomes much more clear. So there's really 3 or 4 good ways to come up with a new approach to an existing topic. Now, I know me saying, like, okay, go out and figure out your own approach to this topic that's been talked to death can be a little intimidating, but here are 4 good options for how to go about doing that. Okay, so the first thing that you could do is to essentially argue with someone. You could take someone from your literature review, or someone's approach, or a series of approaches that you traced in your literature review, and you could say, like, look, these aren't a good idea, and here is why. You could disagree with someone and then provide your own idea. Or you could say, like, look, this is for number 2, indicating a gap. You could say, look, all of these experts are doing a really good job of talking about the topic. However, there's this thing that they still haven't talked about, and so I propose that we learn more about this, do some more research, right? I propose that we extend our research in order to fill this gap in our knowledge before we even try to come up with a solution to the problem. Step 3 would be question raising. So this one's kind of a difficult one for students, and most of the time they avoid it. But it could be something like, look, these are all really good solutions that have been discussed so far in the literature. However, there are some questions that still need to be answered, so I suggest we go out and we research and we answer these questions so that we know more about the topic that we're dealing with. Or 4, continuing tradition. So this is a really good way that students have found to interact with the experts in their field, right? So they say like, look, here is all the literature that I've reviewed so far, and they're on the right track, they're doing the right things. So therefore, I think we should extend the things that they're already doing in these new ways for these new reasons, okay? Now, I know that sounds confusing, but let me just kind of quickly break it down. Essentially, what you're doing is you're thinking about the literature that you just found. What you just did is you traced a conversation about a particular topic in your field. Now it's your job to speak up. And so to do that, you have to figure out how to say something new. And so you could disagree with someone. You could say that we don't know enough yet about this topic, so let's do some more research. Or you could say like, look, these are all really good ideas, and I want to continue this one particular idea in a specific way. Okay. So those are the major approaches to saying something new in the field, arguing or saying we don't know enough or agreeing and extending, right? And so that's what I want you guys to start to think about is like, how do you want to approach the topic that you just traced? Do you agree with someone and you want to keep going? Do you think we still don't know enough and want to propose further research, or do you want to propose an extension of someone's existing idea? And so in each of those cases, what you're doing is you're trying to convince your reader to follow your plan of action, whether it's, I propose that we do more research, or I propose that we reject this idea and come up with a whole new idea, or I propose that we continue this because it's a really good idea. Okay. And so then your final move in your introduction would be to, justify why you think your idea is a good idea, and then just kind of forecasting your major moves for the paper. So saying that you're going to do a literature review, that you're going to, announce your findings. In this case, they'll be hypothetical. And then just giving us some sort of structure, like how you're organizing the paper. Okay, so take a look at this as you kind of go this week, and let's go back here. So the thing that we've got for this week is your blog 7, which is a draft of your introduction. Now I have a sample down here that we can pull up, and it'll look like this. And so really quickly, what you'll see is this person wrote a brief abstract. You don't have to worry about the abstract for right now. We're just focused on the introduction, but it's a good idea to read it quickly. And you'll see that this introduction is doing all the things that I just said. They're outlining the general problem, making some general claims about it. They're moving into a quick overview of some current research about the topic. And then we have a discussion of how they're approaching it. In this case, I believe they're talking about like we don't know enough, so we need more research. And so they're basically saying like I propose that we continue to research this topic, and then we come down and we've got a kind of a breakdown of how the research proposal will function. And so I want you to try to do the same thing. Follow the steps in that CARS model and see if you can start to piece together something that looks like this. Now, it won't be as polished as this. It's very much a draft, but start to see what you can come up with. Then as you come down here, you'll notice we're into the literature review. Now, essentially what you're going to be doing is copying, the majority of your literature review into this paper with some revisions, right? And we'll talk about those revisions throughout the week. But again, the bulk of this paper is your existing literature review. You're not writing a whole new 15-page, 20-page paper. You're essentially piecing this together from papers you've already written. And so then you'll come down here into methodology and discussion. So don't worry about those yet. Just take a look at the introduction and see if you can't start to follow that CARS model for a way to piece this together. All right. And so just to recap, guys, I know I just threw a lot of information at you that it can be confusing, but don't get discouraged. Once you start this process, it will become much more clear. And that's why we're tackling it in pieces. So your only concern for this week is to, start to try to follow these steps. See if you can, like, even make these different headings, like my topic is, right? I argue that, or I propose, and then what do you propose? And then, this is why I propose. If you can answer those 3 questions, then you can flesh this out into a really nice introduction. So what I'm going to do this week, I'll be posting videos, kind of more frequently than I have been because we are kind of getting down to it. And so there will be videos, coming out later this week where I'll walk through a really detailed discussion of the, entire draft. We'll do things like that. But obviously, if there's any questions, please email me and we'll do conferences or emails, whatever's easiest for you guys. All right. And so, like I said, you're going to get those literature reviews back from me very soon. That way you'll have them to work with throughout this project. So look out for those, by end of this weekend, and you'll have them back. All right, guys, thank you. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a good one.